Welcome back to Thursday. You're watching BT Vancouver. Little hazy sky over downtown Vancouver there. We're going to talk about provincial politics right now, the BC film industry, and of course concerns in schools with COVID-19. For that, we're joined by our good friend Lisa Yuzda from News 1130. Welcome back and happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you, Thor.
Yeah, okay, we got lots to get through today. Let's first of all start off with the BCTF. They are demanding a meeting with Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry about COVID concerns in the classrooms.
Yeah, I talked to Terry Mooring, the president of the BCTF, about this last week. They were drafting a letter midweek. They finally sent it last Thursday, a week ago. And it has a number of things that they want to hear from public health. They want teachers to be part of this contact tracing process. The way it is right now, if there is a case in a classroom, public health determines if that teacher is actually part of that direct contact. Sometimes they're not. The teachers want at the Teachers Federation want those teachers to be involved in that question. They say even if they haven't been physically in proximity with that child very close enough to have caught the virus or be exposed to the virus, they will know more about the kind of exposures that child has had and what their nature is in school. And so they just are looking for overall more transparency. There's Sentinel School that we've heard about. That was a situation where there was a case and then a teacher tested positive and believes that that was an in-school transmission and has filed a claim with WorkSafe BC. So they're wanting more details on that. I am hearing that Dr. Bonnie Henry is going to say more about this and give more specifics about how contact tracing is working at school, why parents are getting the instructions they are, and why one parent in one classroom may get slightly different instructions for their child than another parent in the classroom. So I'm hearing that Dr. Bonnie Henry is going to talk about that today in the press briefing, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get a one-on-one with her after and be able to ask her some of these questions, because a lot of parents have been writing me and all kinds of other reporters about their concerns. Obviously, this is a heightened time for everyone, and it's something that we don't know anything about, and all we can control is our own behavior, and then we send our kids off to school.
Yeah, and you can relate as a parent. I mean, just looking at all the administration that I'm getting these days with like soccer or all the changes happening with my daughter's school specifically, and then you add the COVID-19 issues on top of that. There's a lot to wade through here.
There is a lot, and social media makes such a difference. There are some people who are very loud on social media. I don't think there's a ton of voices, but the ones that are there that are very loud. So if someone isn't concerned already and then they read some of these questions and they read, some of the, borderline hysteria, some of the concerns, they wonder, does that affect me? And so then they have to, they have to pile through that themselves. So It would be great to have that information right from the top from Dr. Bonnie Henry. And it is some of the things that she said before in different ways, talking about different things, but I think some people need to hear it about very specific situations related to schools.
Yeah, I want to make sure you're filtering all that information, especially if you're getting it on social media. Let's talk about the campaign trail right now. We're under a month away to the BC provincial election, and let's talk about the leaders. What is NDP leader John Horgan talking about today?
He is talking about help for post-secondary students. Yesterday, he talked about long-term care, offering $1.5 billion for long-term care if elected. Long-term care is on the agenda for the BC Greens leader, Sonia Furstenau, and Liberal leader Andrew Wilkinson will be talking about a community safety plan. Of course, that's very important in Metro Vancouver, specifically in Vancouver, looking at tent cities that are moving around. Right now, it's in Strathcona Park, and that's causing a lot of frustration and fear for people in the community, as there are negative interactions between people who don't have homes who are living in the park and people who have residences there.
And Green leader Sonia Furstenau looking at some long-term care issues as well.
Yes, yeah. So she's talking about that like Horgan talked about it yesterday.
Okay, interesting. And let's also talk about the BC film industry. We've been mentioning today on BT how a number of productions have been suspended because of the lag in COVID-19 testing. But now we're hearing that Alberta is trying to lure some of those productions into its province.
Yes, as it happened here yesterday, that we're hearing about these productions, having to pause because they can't get the tests. One of the ministers in Alberta said, hey, production companies, come on here to Alberta. We did a great job with the NHL bubbles. We can do a great job for you, which, okay, that's fact. But in her press briefing earlier this week, Dr. Bonnie Henry talked about testing and said that she was relieved to see that Alberta and Ontario were stepping back on their very broad asymptomatic testing because they are using up the reagents that we need for necessary tests. And they need those across Canada, and there's a couple provinces using a ton of them. So it seemed like they were on board with this different approach to testing, and then They're saying, we will test everyone asymptomatically, broadly, come here and bring us your business. So curious to hear what she has to say about that today.
All right, well, you clearly have a busy day ahead of you. We'll let you go, and thank you so much for that update, Lisa.
Thanks, Thor.
All right, you take care. That's Lisa Euster from News 1130, and we'll be back with